Welcome to the deep dive.
Thanks for having me.
We've got a really fascinating topic lined up for you today. We're gonna uh, we're gonna dive deep into the future of fintech,
Okay.
especially the trends that you as a developer should be keeping an eye on. And get this, the fintech market is projected to hit a whopping $400 billion
Wow.
by 2025.
Yeah.
That's a lot of room for innovation,
Hmm.
and let's be honest, some pretty awesome career opportunities.
You're absolutely right. And
Uh,
what's interesting is it's not just about creating like slick banking apps anymore.
right.
We're talking about building an entirely new financial ecosystem
Okay.
powered by some seriously cool tech.
Okay, so let's unpack some of these trends that are shaking things up.
Yeah.
Both of our sources are pointing to AI-powered hyper-personalization
Yeah.
as a major game changer in 2025.
Right.
What does that actually look like in practice?
So think about it this way. You could have algorithms analyzing your spending habits, predicting your financial needs before you even realize them, and even giving you customized investment advice, like in real time.
Wow.
It's like having a personal financial guru, like in your pocket.
That's incredible, but I can already hear some folks out there thinking, hold on, isn't all this data sharing a bit risky?
Yeah, you're right to be thinking about that. As developers, one of the biggest challenges will be figuring out how to make these hyper-personalized experiences secure
Yeah.
and privacy-focused. Like building trust is going to be critical.
Absolutely. Now, both sources also highlight blockchain and decentralized finance, or DeFi, as major disruptors in both 2024 and 2025.
Right.
Yeah,
What's exciting about DeFi is that it's not just about cryptocurrency anymore.
right.
We're talking about lending,
Mm.
borrowing, and trading assets without needing banks.
Wow.
For developers, this means opportunities to build smart contracts, decentralized applications, or dApps, and even entirely new payment systems.
Wow, that's a pretty radical shift.
It is.
What should developers be learning if they want to get into this space?
Well, if you haven't already, learning Solidity, which is the language for Ethereum smart contracts, is a great place to start.
Okay.
But beyond the tech skills, it's also about understanding the principles behind decentralization
Okay.
and how they can be applied to build a more transparent and accessible financial system.
Okay, so we've got AI personalization and blockchain disrupting traditional finance.
Right.
But where else is all this tech popping up?
Well, both sources talk about this idea of embedded finance, and it's pretty mind-blowing. Imagine buying insurance directly within a ride-sharing app, or paying for your groceries through your smart refrigerator. Financial services are becoming seamlessly integrated into like all aspects of our digital lives.
So as developers, are we talking about building payment gateways and financial tools that can plug into any platform?
Exactly. That's the key. You're essentially weaving finance into the fabric of the internet.
Wow.
E-commerce sites, SaaS products, you name it. They can all have embedded financial services.
So if someone is thinking, okay, I want to get into fintech, where do I even begin?
Yeah.
What are the essential skills that they should be focusing on?
Well, having a solid foundation in a language like Python or Java is definitely a plus.
Okay.
But as we've been discussing, it's becoming increasingly important to understand technologies like AI and machine learning.
Right. So that means things like TensorFlow and PyTorch, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
But it's not just about coding. Fintech is a space where understanding the financial world is equally important.
Sure.
So brushing up on like financial concepts and trends can give you a big advantage.
Okay. Let's talk about a trend that's been making headlines. Central Bank Digital Currencies, or CBDCs. What's all the buzz about?
Okay, so think of CBDCs as a digital form of your country's currency,
Okay.
issued and backed by the government.
Hmm.
Unlike Bitcoin, which is decentralized,
All right.
CBDCs are controlled by central banks.
So for developers, what kind of opportunities are we talking about here?
Imagine building the systems that handle CBDC transactions, integrating them into existing banking infrastructure, and ensuring they're secure and compliant with regulations. It's a massive undertaking, but the potential impact is huge.
It sounds like blockchain expertise will be in high demand for this. Now, let's move on to something that's good for business and the planet. Green FinTech.
This is where things get really interesting. And I think it's a trend close to many developers' hearts.
Yeah.
We're seeing a surge in platforms for tracking carbon footprints, making green investments, and even creating energy-efficient blockchain networks.
So are we talking about developers building tools that promote sustainable practices in finance?
Exactly. You could be building platforms that support green initiatives,
Hmm.
designing algorithms that minimize the environmental impact of transactions, or creating tools that help financial institutions track and offset their carbon emissions.
That's pretty cool. I can see how that would be a rewarding area to work in. Okay, before we move on, I want to circle back to open banking, which we touched on earlier. Can you explain why this is such a big deal for developers?
Think of it like this. Open banking is like giving third-party developers access to your financial data.
Okay.
But, with your permission, of course,
Of course.
it allows for the creation of all sorts of innovative apps and services.
So like budgeting apps that can pull information from all your different accounts to give you a complete financial picture.
Exactly. Or apps that help you find the best loan rates based on your specific financial situation. As a developer, you could be building the APIs and tools that make these types of services possible. It's about creating a more open and interconnected financial ecosystem.
That's really interesting, but I can imagine there are some serious security concerns with all this data sharing, right?
Right.
And what does that mean for developers?
You hit the nail on the head. Cybersecurity is absolutely critical in fintech.
Right.
And with open banking, the responsibility is even greater. Developers need to be laser focused on building secure systems that protect user data.
So things like encryption, multi-factor authentication, regular security audits, they're all essential.
Absolutely. And staying up to date on the latest threats and vulnerabilities is non-negotiable.
All right, we've covered a lot of ground. And it's clear that fintech is booming with opportunities for developers.
Absolutely. And the trends we've discussed today are just the tip of the iceberg.
So, are you ready to dive deeper into the future of fintech?
Let's do it. Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're going to continue our exploration of what the future holds for fintech,
Yeah.
especially for developers, like you.
It's amazing to see how these trends are all weaving together to paint a really clear picture of where fintech is heading.
Right.
It feels like we're on the edge of something huge.
Absolutely. And one area where that convergence is, especially exciting, is in the realm of data analytics and prediction.
Okay.
Both of our sources highlight how AI and machine learning are becoming essential tools for understanding financial patterns, managing risk,
Right.
and even predicting market trends.
Okay, so we talked about AI's potential in hyper-personalization earlier, but how is it being used for things like fraud detection
Yeah.
or even algorithmic trading?
Think about this. You could have an AI system analyzing massive amounts of transaction data, looking for those tiny patterns or anomalies. That might signal fraudulent activity.
Right.
It's like having a superpowered detective working 24/7 to protect financial systems.
That's fascinating, but I imagine there are also some risks involved with letting algorithms make these kinds of critical financial decisions.
Yeah, you're right. That's why it's so important for developers to build these AI systems responsibly.
Okay.
It's not just about creating something that's efficient. We need to make sure these algorithms are fair, transparent, and accountable.
So for developers, this means thinking about the ethical implications of their work
Yeah,
and understanding things like bias detection in AI.
exactly. It's about building AI systems that are not only intelligent,
Yeah.
but also aligned with human values. It's a big responsibility, but it's also a really exciting challenge.
Now, shifting gears a bit, let's talk about the intersection of fintech and insurtech. Both of our sources point to this as a major area of growth.
Right.
What exactly is insurtech, and what does it mean for developers?
So insurtech is basically taking all the cool technology we see in fintech, AI, blockchain, data analytics, and applying it to the insurance industry.
Okay.
It's about making insurance more efficient, personalized,
Right.
and accessible.
So are we talking about things like AI-powered risk assessments that determine insurance premiums based on individual behavior?
That's one example. Imagine platforms that connect insurers and customers
Right.
in real time, allowing for dynamic pricing based on individual risk profiles, or apps that use wearable technology to track health and fitness data,
Oh, wow.
leading to personalized health and life insurance policies.
Wow, that's really interesting. So it sounds like developers with experience in areas like AI, wearables, and data analytics will be in high demand in insurtech.
Yeah,
What about blockchain? Does it play a role here as well?
absolutely. Blockchain can be used for things like claims processing,
Okay.
making the whole process faster,
Yeah.
more transparent, and less prone to fraud.
Right.
For developers, this means opportunities to build secure and efficient systems for managing insurance data and transactions.
It seems like we keep coming back to blockchain. It
Yeah.
really is a game changer in so many areas of finance.
It is.
Now, both of our sources also mentioned this concept of microinsurance.
Right.
Can you explain what that is and why it's important?
So, microinsurance is all about providing affordable and accessible insurance products to people who traditionally haven't had access to them,
Hmm.
especially in developing countries. We're talking about things like mobile-based insurance policies that protect farmers from crop failure
Oh, wow.
or provide coverage for small business owners in case of natural disasters.
That's really cool. It sounds like technology is playing a crucial role in making these micro insurance products possible.
Exactly. Things like mobile payments, satellite imagery, and yes, blockchain are being used to streamline distribution,
Hmm.
assess risk, and process claims more efficiently.
Right.
For developers, this is a chance to build solutions
Yeah.
that have a real social impact, bringing financial protection to those who need it most.
It's inspiring to see how technology can be used to create a more inclusive and equitable financial system. Now let's talk about something that's often overlooked in all this excitement about cutting-edge tech,
Yeah.
user experience and design.
Yes. UX UI design. You're right. It's often seen as an afterthought,
Right.
but it's absolutely crucial for the success of any fintech product. After all, what good is a brilliant piece of technology if nobody can figure out how to use it?
Exactly. We've all experienced the frustration of a clunky banking app or a website that's like impossible to navigate. It can
Yeah.
be a real turnoff.
Absolutely. And that's where UX UI designers come in. They're the ones who focus on creating a user-friendly and intuitive experience.
Yeah.
For developers, this means working closely with designers to ensure that the products they're building are not only functional, but also aesthetically pleasing and easy to use.
So it's not just about writing clean code, it's about understanding user psychology
Yeah.
and designing interfaces that are both visually appealing and easy to navigate.
Exactly. And for developers, having even a basic understanding of UX principles can make a huge difference in the quality and success of the products they build.
Now let's talk about a trend that's making it easier for people with little or no coding experience to build their own fintech solutions.
Okay.
No-code and low-code platforms.
Yeah, these platforms are really fascinating.
Yeah.
They allow people to build applications using visual interfaces and pre-built components without having to write a lot of code. It's like giving everyone the tools to become a fintech innovator.
So it's like democratizing software development. Does that mean that like traditional developers will become obsolete?
Not at all. While these platforms are great for building simpler applications,
Right.
they're not a replacement for skilled developers who can create complex and sophisticated systems.
So it's more about augmenting the capabilities of developers, freeing them up to focus on more challenging tasks, and perhaps even creating new opportunities for developers to build and maintain these no-code and low-code platforms themselves.
Exactly. It's a win-win situation. And it highlights how the fintech landscape is constantly evolving, creating new roles and opportunities for developers who are willing to adapt and learn new skills.
And now one thing that comes to mind with these platforms is the issue of security and compliance.
Right.
Are there any concerns about using these platforms for sensitive financial applications?
Yeah, you're right to raise that point. Security and compliance are absolutely crucial in fintech. And it's important to make sure that applications built on these platforms meet the same rigorous standards as traditionally developed software.
So it's about finding the right balance between making development more accessible and ensuring that security and compliance are never compromised.
Exactly. It's a challenge.
Yeah.
But it's one that the fintech industry is actively working to address.
Okay, now let's talk about something that's been making waves in the news lately. Big tech companies entering the financial services space. Companies like Apple, Google, and Amazon are all getting in on the action.
Yeah. This is a trend that's both exciting and a bit concerning. On the one hand, these big tech companies have a lot of resources and expertise
Sure.
that they can bring to the table. They can potentially drive innovation
Right.
and make financial services more accessible to a wider audience.
Yet on the other hand, there are concerns about these companies becoming too dominant in the financial sector
Right.
and potentially like stifling competition.
That's right. There are also concerns about data privacy and the potential for these companies to leverage their vast data troves to gain an unfair advantage.
So for developers, this presents both opportunities and challenges.
Absolutely. It's a chance to work on cutting-edge fintech solutions at scale, But it also requires, like, careful consideration of the ethical implications
Mm.
and the potential impact on competition.
It's a complex landscape that requires a lot of thought and discussion.
Absolutely. And it highlights the importance of having a diverse and dynamic fintech ecosystem
Okay.
where both established players and innovative startups can thrive.
Now, before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to talk about a concept that's closely linked to the idea of decentralization, Web3.
Ah, Web3. It's a term that's often used interchangeably with the metaverse, but it's actually a much broader concept.
Okay.
It's about creating a more decentralized and user-centric internet,
Yeah.
where users have greater control over their data
Hmm.
and, like, online experiences.
And how does that tie into the world of fintech?
Well, imagine a world where financial services are built on decentralized platforms,
Okay.
where users have complete ownership of their financial data and assets,
Okay.
and where transactions are secure, transparent,
Right.
and accessible to everyone. That's the vision of Web3 for finance.
That sounds pretty revolutionary. What does this mean for developers who are interested in getting involved in Web3 and fintech?
It means diving deep into blockchain technology,
Yeah.
learning about decentralized finance,
Yeah.
and understanding how to build applications that empower users
Right.
and promote financial inclusion.
Yeah.
It's a challenging but incredibly exciting space to be in right now.
It sounds like Web3 has the potential to truly disrupt the financial industry as we know it.
Absolutely. It's still early days,
Yeah.
but the possibilities are endless.
Yeah.
And for developers who are passionate about innovation
Right.
and building a more equitable and accessible financial system,
Yeah.
Web3 is definitely worth exploring.
This has been an incredible journey so far, exploring all these amazing trends shaping the future of fintech.
And we've only just scratched the surface.
So are you ready to dive into the final part of our deep dive, where we'll explore the skills and resources you need to thrive in this exciting field?
Let's do it.
Welcome back to the deep dive. In the last two parts, we've explored some incredible trends shaping the future of fintech, from AI-powered personalization to the rise of decentralized finance and the emergence of Web3. It's clear that we're on the cusp of a financial revolution.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And for developers, this is like a golden age of opportunity.
But with so much happening, it can be tough to know where to start.
Yeah.
So in this final part, let's focus on practical steps you can take to prepare yourself for the future of fintech.
Sounds good to me. Let's begin by talking about the fundamental skills every fintech developer should have.
Okay, so what are the must-haves for someone who wants to break into this space?
A strong grasp of computer science principles is absolutely essential. That means understanding data structures, algorithms, and software design patterns.
Those are the building blocks of any kind of software development, right?
Exactly. And in fintech, where security and reliability are paramount, having that rock-solid foundation is crucial.
Makes sense. What about specific programming languages? Are there any that are especially in demand in fintech right now?
Python, Java, and C++ are definitely popular choices, especially for like back-end development and data analysis. And as we've discussed, Solidity is essential if you're interested in blockchain and DeFi.
Right, because that's the language used for Ethereum smart contracts.
Exactly.
So beyond the programming languages, what other technical skills are important for fintech developers?
Well, throughout this deep dive, we've talked about how technologies like AI, blockchain, and cloud computing are transforming finance.
So it sounds like developers need to be familiar with concepts like machine learning, distributed ledger technology, and building applications for the cloud.
Precisely. But it's not enough to just understand the theory. You need to have practical experience applying these technologies to build real-world applications.
So I'm guessing things like online courses, boot camps, and even just personal projects are really valuable for gaining that experience.
Absolutely. There are tons of resources available both online and offline. The key is to be proactive, stay curious, and never stop learning.
Now let's move beyond the technical skills for a moment. What about the soft skills that are important for fintech developers?
Communication skills are critical. Fintech developers often work in teams collaborating with other developers, designers, product managers, and business stakeholders.
So being able to clearly articulate your ideas, both verbally and in writing, is really important.
Exactly, and it's not just about communication within your team often. You'll need to explain complex technical concepts to non-technical people like clients or investors.
That sounds like it requires strong presentation and storytelling skills.
You're absolutely right, and of course, problem solving is at the heart of any software development role, and fintech is no different.
So being able to break down complex challenges, Think critically and come up with creative solutions is essential.
Precisely. And in a fast-paced and ever-evolving field like fintech, adaptability is also crucial.
So being open to new ideas, willing to learn new technologies, and able to pivot quickly when needed are all important qualities.
Exactly. The fintech landscape is constantly changing, so developers need to be flexible and adaptable to thrive in this environment.
Okay, so for those who are just starting their journey into fintech, what advice would you give them?
First and foremost, be passionate about this intersection of finance and technology. Fintech is a challenging but incredibly rewarding field, and it's important to be genuinely excited about the problems you're trying to solve.
Passion is definitely a key ingredient for success in any field. What else?
Don't be afraid to experiment and try new things. The fintech landscape is full of opportunities. Explore different areas, play around with different technologies, and find what you're most passionate about.
It's a time for exploration and discovery. What about networking and building connections?
That's absolutely crucial. Attend industry events, connect with people on LinkedIn, join online communities, and build relationships with others in the fintech space. You never know where those connections might lead.
Right, networking can open doors to new opportunities and collaborations, and I imagine having a good mentor can also be incredibly valuable.
Absolutely. Seek out experienced professionals in the field and learn from their insights and guidance. A good mentor can make a world of difference.
Any final words of wisdom for our aspiring fintech developers out there?
Remember that the future of fintech is being shaped right now, and you have the opportunity to be a part of it. Embrace the challenges, stay curious, and never stop learning.
That's fantastic advice. Well, this brings us to the end of our deep dive into the future of fintech. We've covered a lot of ground exploring the trends, the challenges, and the incredible opportunities that lie ahead for developers. The future of finance is in your hands. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.